Okay, everybody, I am
Um,
so excited today because appearing on the show for the third time, she is in the Hat Trick Club. It's amazing. It's
we're
Olivia Scott Welch, who is now Julie in Lucky Hank, which is on AMC and AMC Plus. How you doing today, Olivia?
I'm doing so good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited to talk to you again.
I know, I'm so excited. My third time. This is so exciting.
Yeah, I feel like I've like somehow been on this journey with you together from Panic to Fear
I
Street.
know
Now look
that is
today.
what it feels like. It would be such a shame if the pattern ever broke.
I know. Please just don't forget about me, Olivia. So
Never, never.
here's the thing. So first off, I love the show. I'm excited it's finally out.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of people ask this question, but I am curious
Mhm.
in this specific case because we've seen your career going up and up. How
Yeah.
did you get this part? Was it through some previous work or was it through auditions? Did you have to do kind of the same usual process?
Yeah. It was literally just a self-tape I got over the summer. And it was like a thing where I got the self-tape and then I like was like, okay, I have to do this self-tape. And then I went over to like one of my best friends, Robbie's house, and I was going to help him with the self-tape. And I was like, can you go ahead and help me with this self-tape? And then we ended up just like having a lot of fun doing it. And it was something where I was like, oh, I feel very like I did a good job. Every once in a blue moon, you do an audition where you're like, I actually felt like I did a good job, actually. And this was one of those. And then I sent it off and then like went and visited my parents and found out I was going to meet with Paul Lieberstein and Peter Farrelly. And then I did my second meeting with them from like the kitchen of my childhood home. And so that was really fun.
Okay, so that's really cool. And you
Yeah.
mentioned Paul Lieberstein, Peter Farrelly directing the
Yes.
first two episodes, and then you're working side by side with Bob Odenkirk.
Yeah.
So these are some heavy hitters you're saying here. So are you,
Yeah.
was there an intimidation factor for this for you? Was it a little scary at first?
It really, okay, weirdly, like with Bob, and I keep saying this, and then every time I feel worse and worse, I never watched Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul. So I
Okay.
know, and I have to
Okay.
do it now, especially because he's like my dad now, and I have to support. But I knew him a lot from comedy because my dad is like a huge SNL fan, and him and my dad are around the same age. So it was like Bob was one of the comedians that my dad like showed me as a kid and then would show me like his episodes of SNL and stuff. So that was like more exciting. And then that's kind of something that we like how we kind of got to know each other was talking about like comedy and then like comedy from the 70s and like British comedy from the 90s and like all these random bits of the comedy world. And then yeah, like Paul, it was kind of I was like, this is so crazy. And then, but he's so sweet. And like him and I became, he's such a lovely person. I feel like we became really good buddies so fast that I would forget very quickly that he's like on one of the most famous TV shows of all time, which is
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
100%. And it's so
Yeah.
exciting to see you here. You deserve it. And I think it's
Okay.
interesting too, but you mentioned the comedy and the SNL with Bob Odenkirk. So I was going to ask you about
Yeah.
that with the comedy part of it. Was it exciting to be working in that comedy realm? And you have really good comedic timing and chops here. So
Thank you.
was there also like room to improvise as well? How is that whole feel of it?
Oh yeah. Oh, these are great questions. Yeah, doing comedy was so exciting because I had always wanted to do it. And when I started acting, it was like where my strengths lied. And then like when I moved to LA, I like went through all of the Upright Citizens Brigade program, which is like Amy Poehler and Matt Walsh's like improv school that they
Oh,
put
yeah.
together. So I always kind of thought that that's like where I would end up, but then like the universe was like, no, we want to see you covered in blood. We want to see you stab and be stabbed. And I was like, oh, okay, interesting. So it's cool to like kind of like complete that circle, I guess, and be on something that's so fun and funny. And then, yeah, there was like the scripts were so good immediately, but also Aaron Zellman and Paul Lieberstein, who was there, wrote it together and were our showrunners. They were like so genius in their writing and then would also be like very open to people improving and stuff. So that was really cool because they really let everybody like if you had an idea, you could pitch it. And if you were like, I have an idea, like an alt for this line, that's a joke. Like I've also come up with a separate joke, and they'd be like, okay, we'll say it. And so they were very encouraging of like everybody using all their comedic skills as much as they could, which was cool.
Yeah, I love that. And I love seeing everyone work together too. And
Yeah.
what I really like is that when I was watching the show, I felt like the family feels like a very real family you're in.
Oh,
So
good.
it's
I'm glad.
almost scary. So, and it's also
Yeah.
scary. There's, related. It all works. It's
Oh,
casted
yeah.
really well.
Oh, yeah.
So with your on-screen parents, how did you guys
Yeah.
like find that together? Like, how do you work through that with just like scene partners?
Oh, man. Well, they're both like two of the most talented people I will ever meet in my entire life. Like I was telling Ray the other day, I was like, I don't know what it is about you, but I went a lot and shouted all of our directors and our showrunner and our actors. Like I just went every day that I wasn't filming myself. And Ray was someone that she would be doing a scene and I would be like, wow. And I would like start crying. And I am like not a crier. I very rarely cry in real life, but she's so good at acting that it like made me emotional. Cause I was like, I've never encountered a woman that's so talented in my life. And the same with Bob. And like, yeah, so before like we started filming, like the three of us would hang out. When I booked the role, the next day Bob called me and I missed it because it was an unknown number. I was like, well, whatever. And then I got a voicemail that was like, hi, Olivia, this is Bob Odenkirk. And I was like, oh no. But it was like the nicest voicemail I've ever received in my life. And I'm happy that I have it now. But the three of it, he like invited me over to lunch, and like him and Ray had been hanging out like once a week. And he was like, you should come to our hangout. And then we just like hung out at his house for like a while and just kind of got to know each other, and then like read some of our scenes from the pilot, and then kind of kept doing that throughout filming. But the cast just got really close. Like everybody was together all the time. And so it made it, because also the whole like with the ensemble of the teachers, why am I blanking on this?
No, you
Like
got it.
the department,
Yeah, hell yeah.
the department, they were all like, part of the comedy of them comes from the fact that they've all known each other like way too well for like 15 years. So everybody just wanted to make sure that we were all like close. And then it just became where everybody really loved spending time with each other. So we spent a lot of time together, but then Bob and Ray are just like incredible. And I feel like it was such a gift to play like a daughter on a show that's like a character in full, but they also have like two parents that are full characters.
Yeah.
And so it was like they would do stuff and I'd be like, oh, if these were actually my parents, like what would I have picked up subconsciously, and what would I have like rejected, and what would I do and think that it's different from them, but also it's basically just the same thing. So it was like a really fun new thing to do as an actor, because I've never had that full of a family dynamic in a project before.
Yeah.
It's really fun.
Yeah, sure. And I like you mentioned too, that it's not just like a typical daughter character, that there's depth to the character.
Yeah.
I also like that there's a mysterious thing I've taken from seeing a couple of the first episodes with Julie, that I like that this show is like slowly rolling out more information about her as we go on.
Yeah.
But for you, did you have like a giant, Julie Bible? Like, do you go to extremes to know your character inside and out, or do you not go that intense with it?
Oh, this is a good question too. I feel like I got this from an acting teacher, like a class I did like when I was really young, this like questionnaire about characters. And I think it was maybe initially for writers, but I use it like when I'm acting and have always, and then also like when I've been writing things. But it's like from like, what's a childhood memory of theirs that they didn't seem like a big deal at the time and now haunts them every day, and then, but it'd also be like, do they have a favorite song? And so it's like really runs the gamut of like human thought. So I use that every time. And then I'll do like just some like light journaling and stuff, but also the book that this is based on is like incredible. It's so good. And so that was really cool I got to read that before we started filming. And then Aaron and Paul we had like a sit down with them, and Mark Johnson, who was like our big executive producer, and then Bob and Ray and me, when we read some scenes, and we kind of just talked about like the things that they wanted to be different from the book, for each of the characters and like what they wanted to change and like if the storyline would stay the same. And so I kind of just used all of that. And then truly watching Bob and Mireille, I was like, this is such an education because you can prep all day by yourself, but then the minute you get on set, like it's truly a wild card as to what the other people will do. And I was like, they're amazing.
Yeah.
Like truly incredible. So I was like, I'm gonna kind of take their lead and like see what they're doing and adapt from there. And that was really fun.
That's really cool. And I like you're going into the craft there, but I also wonder, because you've had a couple of big projects under your belt now, is there anything that maybe when you started out you did that you don't like to do anymore? Something you've learned or changed in your process as an actress that you're just like, you know what? I'm done with that.
That's good. That's good. I feel like oh, this is such a good question. I feel like it does kind of change a little every time. I've weirdly like I used to write a ton on my sides for that day and like a ton behind that. Like I used to just write and write and write. And then like, I've kind of like gotten half and half now to where I try to really find it like in my body. Right. Really like get it on its feet. And that has been something that I've like done. And so now like sometimes I'll like do scenes and like walk around my house or like go on a walk and then like do them. I feel like movement has become a lot more precious to me. Also because I'm very awkward in real life and I'm sure, and this is not even getting down on myself. I wish you could see my full body as to how I'm sitting right now. I'm really like sitting like this. That in characters, I'm like, not everybody can be like this person. They have to all be different. So I think that that's been a cool thing that I'm trying to work on now. And it's made me want to do like a play or something. Like I'm like, I want to do something where you can just rehearse for forever before you do it for real.
Yeah, I like that. You're bringing that physicality to it and feeling to it. That's really good advice in general. Do you yourself as a viewer enjoy this week to week format with the show like this?
Yeah, I do. It was exciting because it was I also get like burned out on things very quickly. I feel like just because there's like such a overexposure of content out there. But and it's fun. Like I watched this. I watched it on Sunday night with like one of my best friends, who's McCabe from Fear Street.
Oh, hell yeah!
He's one of my best friends. I watched it at his house with his roommates, and then like he's an actor, but then like the rest of them aren't actors, and like Mark, who's one of their roommates, he like is a music supervisor, but then like one of their roommates, Isaac, is like in law. So it was fun to watch it with them because they don't all do exactly the same thing, and I wanted to see like what the group would think. But they were all saying they're like, it's fun that we can like get together and do something on a Sunday night and then like kind of have that old school like tradition to bring back.
Yeah.
I've started watching Survivor.
Okay.
And I haven't watched Survivor since maybe I was 7 years old, but they were like, we should watch Survivor every week. And I was like, you know what? Anything to feel like it's 1998 again.
Yeah.
Do it.
That show's addictive, Survivor too. Man, that's great. And you're right though. It's like, it's also like great too that you get to savor it each week and really discuss each episode. Because I feel like with the binge model, it kind of disappears through it, you know?
Yeah.
I also want to bring up too, it was awesome you posted red carpet photos for the show. And I noticed in them though that you have these smaller tattoos on your wrists, your arms. Has that been something though that's like, do you have to cover that up with makeup or clothes when you're doing a role? Or have you noticed that's kind of changing a lot nowadays?
That is kind of changing. It was funny because I weirdly, on like most of the things I've ever booked, they just throw me in a sweater, which is such a blessing all the time. And that's how it was for this, like, because it was so cold and I'm so grateful to everybody who decided that it could just be the season that it was in real life on the show. Because that never happens. And you're just like uncomfortable one way or the other. But it was like, they're like, it's fall, winter. So it's fall, winter. But yeah, for this show, they like really didn't care. And it was funny too, even like they were like, oh yeah, you can have those out. It's fine. None of them are like any copyright of any kind. You can't like show like a Mickey Mouse tattoo if you have one, but, yeah, they have to like get that cleared, but all of mine are just like with the weird little things that I've drawn or my friends have drawn.
No, they're sick.
So yeah. And then, yeah, like I also like they didn't really do anything to my hair. And I really am not wearing very much makeup in the show either, which was funny. Like they kind of were just like, we just want you to look as is.
Oh,
They just had me, they were like, we just like you and we're going to put you on screen.
love it. I love it. And it's interesting too. I also wonder, because we've mentioned it a couple times with Fear Street, but
Yeah.
with that enormous success of Fear Street films and the exposure it gave you,
Yeah.
was it like tough coming down from that high afterwards? Meaning, like, did you have the like leaving Disney World feeling, like that last day of vacation? Like, is that what that kind of felt like?
It's so funny. I was talking about this the other day. It's like, I don't know. There's like a weird thing that compartmentalizes in my brain, I feel like, because I like you do it and it's so like work heavy, like even the press and stuff is so work heavy. And I also am very like not shy, but I'm not like out here being like, who's gonna recognize me today? You know, like so I feel like with Fear Street, it was like, but it's funny because people will come up and be like, I loved Fear Street. And I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, like the thing that I did in my real life, it was on TV. You're totally
Right.
like, it's funny that because you like live it and you live it start to finish. And then you like go and that still hasn't fully like clicked in my brain. Like I was even on the IMDb app yesterday, my favorite app of all time. And there was like an ad for Lucky Hank on the IMDb app. And for a second, like my brain scrambled and was like, is this a screenshot from your phone? And then I was like, oh no, this is a real ad. Like this isn't even for me. This is because it's on, because people are going to watch this TV show. So it's very like, I just feel like it's a weird thing where I don't think about it often that it's like out there.
Yeah.
Sense.
It makes total sense.
And then I'll be like walking around and someone's like, I loved your movie. And I'm like, oh, you're right. I totally did make a movie. I did not remember that I did that. You're totally, totally right. Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like it hits that sweet spot where like you get to still have a life with it too, which is great.
Yeah.
And I have to bring up, you mentioned the IMDb app because I'm obsessed with the IMDb app. Do you rate everything you watch? Tell me you rate every episode of everything you ever watch.
Oh my goodness. I do rate on IMDb. I don't rate on Letterboxd.
Same.
Because I'm like, on there for some reason, I'm like, movies are movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything is beautiful. If you made a movie, then like good for you. Yes. I can like it, but I can also not like it. And that's fine, you know, but then on IMDb, I'm like 6.3.
Yeah.
I get like really brutal with it.
I'm the same way. I love that. Yeah. And you can like contribute to the overall score.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of just, you had mentioned earlier about like, it's so cool you're doing comedy now, but you know, you're known also for the horror. So you got 2 horrors still on the way with the Blue Rose and the Sacrifice Game. Is there anything you can tell us about either?
Oh, I got to do ADR for Sacrifice Game the other day and it looked stunning. Like because you don't ever know, like when you're shooting something, they're like, we're going to set this shot up and we're going to put this lens on and we're going to color it this way. And you're like, that's awesome. That's great. And then you can kind of imagine it in your head, but then you see it and you're like, oh, this is just not, I just would have never, you know, because you're on the other side of it. But then Sacrifice Game the other day, I was like, Jen, our director, I was like, this is stunning.
Oh, that's exciting.
And I got to see like our opening titles and stuff, and it looks really good.
Is ADR a weird experience doing that? Like, is it strange?
It's strange, but it literally is I am addicted. Like, because it's like a game that you play with yourself. Like it's like a game where it's like you watch it and then it's like you watch it with you talking and then I'll explain it for everybody at home. And then they turn the sound off and you have to talk in the exact same way that you did before on screen. And so sometimes I'm like, you know why this is off? It's because I took a breath right after that word. Let me go again. And I love it so much. And it's because I've also done so much of it now, like with Panic, like I did hours and hours of it.
Wow.
Yeah, because I was just on screen so much. And then like we were filming outside so often that I ADR'd like so much of that show. And I also had to do voiceovers and stuff. So I feel like now I love it. It's like playing Tetris.
Let
with
me tell you, you're good at it because I did not notice it at all in Panic. So
I'm
props, you're an
glad.
ADR, just
Oh, thank you
pro.
so much. Thank you so
Be
much.
proud of yourself.
Thank you.
I have to ask the question everyone's been like wanting me to ask you, but
Ooh, interesting.
you have linked on your Spotify bio, I mean your Instagram bio, Spotify
Yeah.
playlist that you've curated. Do you
Yes.
have a favorite one or you're most proud of?
Oh,
There's Pool Party, there's Botanical Hitchhiker, Atmospheric River, maybe.
oh yeah, these are pretty good. Some of these I made in Vancouver because someone said atmospheric river, and that's what it's called. Like I learned this phrase in Vancouver, but that's like what the phrasing is for like when water collects on the street and like rushes down. That's an
Ah,
atmospheric river. And so that's like a rainy day playlist.
okay.
Um, the pool party one, I think if it's what it is, it's like haunted house music.
Is it?
That's something that Chris Nelson from Fear Street told me. Chris Nelson was our special effects guy, and he has an Oscar for Suicide Squad. He's like insanely talented. He's also
Ooh.
the groom in Kill Bill. Um,
Wow.
I know he's like prolific, and every day I would be like, "Hey, Chris, how are you? Crazy that you're here and I'm here as well." And I'm looking at he's literally like 6'4" in real life. But he had this really great playlist that he would play when we were getting like prosthetics on. And it was always like Monster Mash and like the Munsters theme and stuff. And I was like, this is great playlist. And he literally said to me, it's my pool party playlist.
Oh,
That joke from him. And
I
that
love it.
is now.
Yeah. No, it's cool. So, the big Olivia Welch fans now can have music curated by you. It's awesome. So check that out in her bio on Instagram.
Oh, it's
And
okay.
yeah. Um, and everyone watch Olivia kill it in Lucky Hank on AMC and AMC Plus. There's a new episode each week. Olivia, thank you for joining me for a third time. It
Thank
means so
you.
much.
It's
And
so fun every time.
it is, and I hope one day there'll be a fourth. I think there will
I
be
agree. I agree. Soon,
soon, soon.
soon, soon.
Thanks, Olivia.
All right. Bye.